Hello friends, welcome to Study IQ, India's largest educational channel. My name is Dr. Mahipal Singh Rathod, and in this video I will be discussing the India-Pakistan War of 1965. Sometimes it is also called as the Second Kashmir War between India and Pakistan because it was fought over the issue of, mainly it was fought over for Kashmir. Before beginning, let me remind you that Study IQ has pendrive and tablet courses available for all these examinations, and soon we are going to launch a course for UPSC IAS exam. You can study from your home without going anywhere. You can get the best of knowledge for the competitive exams via our courses. Call on these numbers or visit our website for more detail. In 1965, what was the thinking in India and Pakistan? India had been soundly defeated in 1962 China-India war. So Pakistan military leaders, they thought that Indian army has become weak, their morale is low because of the defeat by China, and also they were being supplied by good quality weapons by USA during the Cold War period. So they had a qualitative edge. It means the quality of weapons that Pakistan had was superior. It was, to some extent, it was true because India's weapons were quite outdated, and USA during Cold War was supplying Pakistan with more weapons. They were also selling to India. Both USA and UK were selling to India and Pakistan both. But mainly they were supplying to Pakistan. Why? Because Pakistan bordered almost USSR and they had a threat from USSR in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region. So they were supplying mainly for protection from Soviet Union. And Pakistan promised that these weapons will not be used against India on its eastern front. They were mainly for the protection of its western and northern areas from the threat of Soviet Union, but it did not happen. So during the Cold War, Pakistan was an ally of USA. Remember this. Also in 1964, our then Prime Minister Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru had died. He was considered to be one of the most influential leaders in the world of his time. So Pakistan thought that after Nehru's death, India's leadership is weak. Also, there was some trouble in Indian National Congress itself for the succession, who will become the Prime Minister. There were some issues within the party, and all this contributed to the thinking that India's political and military leadership is weak. And India's economy was also not very strong at that time. The economy was not very good. There was a crisis in food production and other areas as well. So all these reasons led to Pakistan thinking that we can solve the Kashmir dispute for once and all, because for the past 18 years there was no progress in Kashmir. So they thought that let's capture Kashmir once and for all at this time. The leaders of both the countries, India and Pakistan respectively, were Lal Bahadur Shastri, India. He became the Prime Minister after Nehru's death in 64, and he was the Prime Minister only till 10th January 1966. Just after this war he died. And on the other hand, there was General Ayub Khan. He was a military leader. He was the leader of Pakistan army earlier in the 1950s. In 1958, he did a coup and captured the government leadership, and he became the president of Pakistan in 1958, General Ayub Khan. So the 1965 began with some skirmishes in Kutch. Skirmishes means some light conflict, some firing between border posts between India and Pakistan. So this is Kutch in Gujarat, and this is the international border of India and Pakistan. As you might know, this area is a very swampy place. There are some rivers flowing here which flow during the rainy season, and after that this entire place becomes a swamp, and it is a very hard place to live in and very hard place to patrol. So there was a dispute with this area, Sar Creek. So this is a creek which was disputed since 1947 itself. So Pakistan said that the boundary of this river or the creek is the green one. That means the entire Sar Creek lies within Pakistan. But India said that the boundary is exactly in between the rivers. So wherever the river is flowing, the middle point of that will be the boundary. So this was the dispute between India and Pakistan. So there was some firing in the border posts at this time. But what happened was England intervened, and India and Pakistan both decided that we will go to arbitration. We will settle this dispute by negotiations. So this emboldened the Pakistani leadership. They thought that with just a little amount of firing and little amount of strategic military thinking, India has been brought to the negotiating table. So if we can do this here in Kutch, why cannot we do this for Kashmir as well? Let us make a plan so that some amount of strategic pressure is built up without any war, without any outright war. And India will be brought to the negotiating table where we can get a more favorable outcome. The objectives were to start an unrest in an armed struggle in Kashmir and turn the people of Kashmir against India. Why? Because they needed to capture Kashmir. A military leader who was the leader of this campaign, the Pakistan army, he was a general in the Pakistan army during this Kashmir campaign. He later wrote in his book that the objective of Pakistan was to defreeze the Kashmir problem. As I said, for past 18 years, this problem had gone into a static state. There was no progress on this. Second, to weaken the Indian resolve and bring India to the conference table without provoking a general war. Because a general war at a large scale is not good for both the countries, neither for India nor for Pakistan. It will waste a lot of money. Many soldiers will die for the country, and the economy also suffers. So Pakistan launched Operation Gibraltar in August 1965. What was this Operation Gibraltar? They dropped some special forces, paratroopers. Paratroopers are those soldiers who are dropped from aeroplanes using parachutes into the Kashmir Valley. And also there was large scale infiltration via the ceasefire line, that is today called LOC. Up till 1972 it was called the ceasefire line. Why? Because the ceasefire in 1949 happened along this area. Wherever the armies were sitting, that became the ceasefire line. When United Nations ceasefire was done in 1949, and later it became to be known as LOC. Today also it is known as line of control. So all these soldiers of Pakistan, some dressed in plain clothes, their objective was to capture strategic points like bridges, administrative offices, or the important buildings of that area, so that they have a control on the entire region and they can start an unrest. They can bring the people of Kashmir against Indian government. But the people of Kashmir did not support these. The civilians themselves caught many of these soldiers and handed them over to the Indian army or the police. So this objective failed completely. Also, one of the main reasons for this to fail was that there was no coordination. It was a highly uncoordinated objective. They were not given very clear instructions, and you can understand 50 years ago the means of communication were not that good. So obviously it is very hard to coordinate in such a large area. You can draw parallels between this plan and the plan that Russia used in 2014 to capture Crimea. Think about it. Here is a photograph showing these soldiers that are in plain clothes. They have been captured by the Indian army, and later they accepted that they were the captains or majors or official soldiers of the Pakistani army. But Pakistan at that time refused to accept them. This is a map of Jammu and Kashmir. Just have a look at what the areas are, because sometimes while reading events in newspapers, you do not know where exactly things are going on. So the North Kashmir regions are these: Kupwara, Bandipur, Baramulla. Then you have the Punch and Rajouri valleys here. This valley is connected to Jammu, okay? And then there is this Kashmir valley here. Then this is called the Valley of Kashmir here. This is also connected to Jammu and Udhampur. Then there is this region of Doda and Kishtwar, and here we have the Jammu region. So these are the main areas: Punch, Rajouri, Kashmir Valley, Doda, Kishtwar, and Jammu region. Then here there are Kargil districts and Leh district. Now as soon as this operation Gibraltar failed, Pakistani army thought that let us support the operation by bringing the entire army and starting a war. So they started Operation Grand Slam. So right after this operation, on the 1st of September, Operation Grand Slam started in 1965. Some people say it started in the last week of August, but the official dates is somewhere around 1st September or last week of August. So the plan was to capture Akhnur via Chamb. So the Battle of Chamb was fought, and why Akhnur? Look at this map. This is Jammu and this is Akhnur. This is the town of Akhnur. So Akhnur is the gateway to Punch and Rajouri valleys. If you cut off Akhnur, if you capture Akhnur, India cannot send its forces to Punch and Rajouri, and we could have lost this region entirely. And later they will directly threaten the valley of Kashmir. Okay. Remember, there is just one road connecting this Punch and Rajouri valley to the valley of Kashmir. One good road. It is called the Mughal Road. You should know this. It is called the Mughal Road. Now this road has been paved and it has been maintained recently. So to reach Punch and Rajouri, mainly you have to go through Akhnur only. There was only this way. So Akhnur is the crucial point. Even today, you can see here the boundary is still here. This is the international boundary. This is not LOC. This is international boundary. LOC starts from here. So the strategic location of Akhnur was the reason that they tried to capture Akhnur. And also Pakistani Air Force started bombing campaign in Kashmir. Many areas were bombed, military installations and also at other buildings. But India's army successfully repulsed this attack. It was a very difficult task for the Indian army because of the terrain, and this is all mountainous region, but still Indian army managed to stop this attack. The Pakistan army reached just 4 kilometers away from Akhnur, but the attack was stopped. So while this attack was going on in Kashmir region, okay, remember this all areas were attacked, Punch, Rajouri, Akhnur. So the entire thrust of Pakistan's military was towards Kashmir. So Indian military leadership thought that to relieve the pressure from Kashmir, we have to open a new theater. Theater means a new front. An area of fighting is called a front or a theater, remember. So Indian army opened a new front in Punjab. They attacked from 2-3 places in Punjab. So it is called the Punjab theater. So it was opened to relieve the pressure in Kashmir. Armored divisions. What is armored? Armored means mainly tanks. So tank divisions of India entered into Pakistan and the army reached till the outskirts of Lahore. They reached till the outskirts of Lahore and the main target was to capture and put pressure on Pakistan that if we capture more territory, then there will be more pressure on Pakistan. Lahore is hardly 20-25 kilometers from the international border, remember this. So Indian army had captured a large area all around Lahore, but they did not enter Lahore. Later military generals have said that the target was not to enter Lahore because city fighting is very tough and it costs a lot of men, and they did not want to enter Lahore. They just wanted to capture the area around Lahore. Even in 1971 our army reached the Lahore and they just destroyed the Lahore airport, but they did not enter the city. On the other hand, Pakistan army also retaliated in Punjab. They also entered into India. Khemkaran is a city which is 5-6 kilometers inside Indian border. So they captured this city of Khemkaran. To recapture this Khemkaran, there was a fierce battle. It is called the Battle of Asal Uttar, which means fitting reply. So this was one of the largest tank battles after World War II. So India won here in Asal Uttar and a lot of Pakistani tanks were destroyed. And Havaldar Abdul Hamid, he won a Paramveer Chakra for his bravery in this battle. He single-handedly destroyed 4 tanks. So he won a Paramveer Chakra for that. There are a lot of tank battles, okay. Remember there are a lot of tank battles, so I won't be discussing all of them. Have a look here in the map to understand this strategy. Pakistan was attacking the Kashmir area, but India opened a front via these places. So the army moved in from 3 fronts here in the Punjab region, and this is Lahore here. So a lot of area around Lahore was captured here in Sialkot, Lahore, all these areas. Why? Because so that Pakistan army will send some of its forces from Kashmir front to Punjab. So pressure was relieved here. Then again here the army was repulsed. So these are strategies and tactics of war. If you are interested, you can read up more about these things. I don't have time to discuss all of them here in the video. As I said earlier, there were large scale tank battles for the first time after World War II. Pakistan army had Patton tanks. This is a kind of tank which was supplied by USA and they were superior, but Indian armored divisions, which had mainly Sherman tanks, they led to heavy losses for Pakistan armored divisions. Why? Because of better strategy and better tactics. Also, the Pakistan Air Force had superior aircraft which were all US supplied and they inflicted huge damage initially. The Pakistan Air Force was very successful initially. They attacked Pathankot, Jamnagar, Ambala. Ambala is so deep in India, still they managed to attack till those areas. After some time, Indian Air Force was also very successful in destroying Pakistan's supply trains and other buildings, ammunition dumps. So after some time, the Indian Air Force also caught up. Although we had older kind of planes, but still the Indian Air Force also managed to bring great damage to the Pakistan military infrastructure. Now I will talk about the ceasefire. So after 1.5 months of fighting, this war was stopped. There was a ceasefire on 22nd of September 1965. Hostilities stopped the next day on 23rd September. All this time the war was going on. Soviet Union and USA tried to mediate and stop the war. They did not want the Cold War to become hot. So they were trying to mediate continuously, and finally on 22nd September they succeeded. The ceasefire was brought about. And it is said that although USA was supporting Pakistan in this war, but they did not come out openly in support, and it was a big setback for the Pakistan political leadership because they thought that since we are an ally of USA, they should come out openly in our support, but it was not the case, and both India and Pakistan felt betrayed by the Western powers. We were buying a lot of our military and air force and naval equipment from UK and USA, so we thought that both of them will support us. Pakistan also thought the same, but both of these countries mainly tried to remain neutral. They did not openly support them, did not send their warships or anything. So this was a huge setback, and after this war, India started going more closer to Soviet Union because they thought that USA will never support us, and Pakistan also started developing closer relationship with China rather than USA or UK, because they also thought that these Western powers, they will not help us when it is needed. This distrust has been there between the Western nations and the South Asian nations for a long time, even after 50 years. One more thing, Navy was not that much involved in this war. There was an attack on Dwarka by the Pakistani Navy. No naval engagements like the 1971 war. Okay, remember this. Mainly the Air Force and Army were used in 1965. Now we will see, after the end of war, at the time of ceasefire, which country had what losses and what gains. So there has been a lot of conflicting accounts. India, Pakistan do not give out information in a very transparent manner about these wars, but obviously because of the propaganda, and independent sources have given some other figures totally. So according to independent sources, see that 3,000 Indian soldiers died in this war and 3,800 Pakistani soldiers. Then you can read the claims about the aircraft lost and the tanks destroyed. India claimed that almost 500 Pakistani tanks were destroyed. But the land claims, that we can have a look. See, India held 1,840 square kilometers of Pakistani territory. This was mainly in the region of Punjab, Pakistani Punjab and the Kashmir area. So this is very fertile area. Okay, this is one of the most fertile areas in the entire country. On the other hand, Pakistan held 540 kilometers of Indian territory, but this was mainly in Jaisalmer and Kutch region. So this is not a very productive area. So India had the upper hand from the resources point of view, from the area captured, and also if you see the number of soldiers that died fighting, Pakistan suffered more losses. So who won this war? Now both sides have claimed victory. Pakistan also celebrates victory in 1965 war every year. India also does the same. But neutral assessments have all said that India had the upper hand. India was in a more powerful position, because India had more territory, we had more resources, we had more reserves left. Pakistan had a lot of shortages in the ammunitions. So all the neutral sources have said that India did have an upper hand. Pakistan would have serious depletion of resources if the war had lasted even one more month. Okay, so you can say that India did win this war because of these reasons. Now the reason that there is no clear victor in this war is one of the reasons for that is the Tashkent Declaration. There was no war guilt clause in this. It was not blamed on anyone during the Tashkent Declaration. Usually you see there is a war guilt clause in many peace treaties. For example, the Treaty of Versailles, which was signed after World War I. It clearly says that the reason for the war was Germany and Germany is defeated. But there was no such thing during this Tashkent Declaration. Why did India win in this war? Because of better war planning, quick deployment of forces during war, and better use of resources available to them, and that led to the Indian military success. As I told you, Pakistan Air Force, Pakistan military, they had better weapons, better artillery guns, better airplanes, but still, because of good military tactics, better strategy, Indian army won this war. Then we come to the Tashkent Declaration. Tashkent is in USSR. Earlier it was in USSR. Now it is in Uzbekistan in Central Asia. So on 10th January 1966, this Tashkent Declaration, the peace treaty, was signed after talks in Tashkent. USSR had invited both the leaders, Lal Bahadur Shastri and General Ayub Khan, to Tashkent. Also US was mediating behind the doors. Now, what were the decisions taken? First thing, return to pre-war international boundary. Whatever area, the 1900 square kilometer and the 500 square kilometers that India and Pakistan had captured, it has to be returned to respective countries. Then the return to pre-war ceasefire line in Jammu and Kashmir. The LOC, whatever areas you had captured around the LOC, you had to go back to the old positions. Then the exchange of prisoners of war, restoration of diplomatic relations, and finally further talks for peace. So these were the outcomes of the Tashkent Declaration, and unfortunately Lal Bahadur Shastri, our Prime Minister, died the same night on signing this Tashkent Declaration in his hotel in Tashkent from a heart attack. And there is a lot of controversy about this also. How did he die, or whether it was a heart attack or anything else? Let's not get into that, but he died the same night on 10th January. You will see a common thing in all the negotiations that we have had in the India and Pakistan wars. Even in the 1948 war, 1965 war, again in the Shimla conference in 72, all this time, we gave away what our army, what our brave soldiers had captured with their audacity. We gave it away on the negotiating table. it has been a very weak point from the political leadership of the country that we could not negotiate to our benefit. We gave away dominant areas. We were holding fertile regions of Pakistan, of Punjab area near Lahore, Sialkot in 65, in 71 war, but we simply gave it away without keeping it for some time, without getting anything permanent, without getting final peace. See, 65 after this Tashkent, what happened? Did peace? Was there peace between the two countries? No. 71 again there was war. After 72 Shimla agreement, was there peace? No. In 1990 militancy started. 99 there was Kargil war. So we did not have long lasting peace despite getting dominant position in the field on the ground, because the negotiating table we faltered. The best example of this is the return of Haji Pir Pass. Where is this Haji Pir Pass? It is in Kashmir between Uri and Punch, and it is a very strategic location. Why? Because of this bulge. You can see there is a bulge in the boundary, and this is the Pakistani controlled area, but India had captured this. Indian army, with great audacity and great bravery, the Indian soldiers had captured this shaded region so that this boundary became straight. It was easier for us to dominate and control this region, but in the negotiations of Tashkent we had to give it back, and it has been a blunder for us because majority of the infiltration even today in northern part of Kashmir takes place from this Haji Pir region. We had to give it away. We could have kept this, but we did not. And this is an example, as I was talking about, that we have faltered at the negotiating tables many a times. If you want more knowledge about the Kashmir dispute, about the India-Pakistan relations, watch these videos on Study IQ made by me. I have made a video on Kashmir issue which explains everything. What has the Kashmir dispute been? What is it about? Then there is a video about the 1971 war, and finally the Kargil war. So you can watch them if you want more information. I hope you liked this lecture. If you did, kindly comment, like the video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Keep the education revolution going. Have a good day.